Good day, everyone. Welcome to lecture number 12 of Theory of Computation. And in this particular lecture, we will be discussing two important concepts related to regular language. So the first part is that we will be discussing about the closure properties of regular language. Okay. And second part of the discussion will be that we will be discussing the decision problems for regular language. So these are the two concepts that we will be discussing. So let me briefly discuss what we mean by closure properties and what are decision properties. Okay. So let's first discuss what is a closure property. So a closure property means any operation on regular language that generates a new regular language. Okay. So the closure properties of regular language means any operation on a regular language that generates a new regular language. Okay. There are multiple operations possible on regular languages. Okay. So there are multiple operations possible on regular languages. Okay. But only those operations which generate a regular language, that particular operation will be called a closure property of a regular language. For example, let me take an example. Let's say we have two regular languages, L1 and L2. Okay. So one operation that is possible on these two languages, L1 and L2, is L1 union L2. So what will be L1 union L2? L1 union L2 will be a string. W belongs to sigma star such that W belongs to L1 or W belongs to L2. Okay. So that means if I am doing this operation, union operation in two languages, then I am getting this particular set. This particular set means I am getting a new language. Okay. The new language that I got here, if this is a regular language, then we say this particular operation is a closure property. Okay, or we can say that regular languages are closed under this particular operation. So if this is a closure property, that means regular languages are closed under union. Okay, what does that mean? It means that union is a closure property. And what does that mean? That means that if regular languages are operated by a union operation, the new language that we will get, that particular language will also be a regular language. And as I said here, that there are multiple operations possible on regular languages, and only those operations that generate a regular language, that forms the closure property of a regular language. Okay, so we have to discuss different properties of regular language which are closure properties. What does that mean? So we have to discuss the operations such that when those operations are applied on regular language, the new language that is generated will also be a regular language. Okay, so we will discuss those operations and we will prove those operations. What does that mean, proving those operations? So here I am saying that regular languages are closed under union, but we have to prove this. So we have to prove this formally. So not only will we discuss the closure properties, but we will also prove those particular properties. Whether that particular property is a closure property or that is not a closure property. So which operation will not be a closure property? That particular operation will not be a closure property such that when that particular operation is applied on regular language, the new language that we will get will either be a regular language or a non-regular language. However, if an operation always results in a regular language, then that particular operation will be called a closure property on regular language. Okay. So first part is that we have to discuss these closure properties. And the second part of the lecture, as I said, will be the decision problems. These are some of the problems, or we can say some of the questions that can be asked on regular languages. And the answer to these questions, these particular questions, will be either yes or no. So this will be an answer, decision problem. So we have to discuss different decision problems and we have to see whether we can answer those problems or not. Answer those problems means whether those problems are decidable. Decidable means whether we can answer for those problems yes or no. However, there are some problems which are not decidable. Not decidable means we cannot answer yes or no for those problems. Okay, so we will only discuss the decision problems that are decidable for regular language. For example, let's take an example. One decision problem is, let's say one decision problem is, if we have a regular language L, can we say is L empty? Okay, for this particular problem, this is a problem, or we can say this is a decision problem on this language, and this language is a regular language. So this is a decision problem on this regular language, and we have to see whether we can answer this particular question in yes or no. Okay, likewise we have multiple decision problems and we will discuss many different decision problems on regular languages, and we will see how we can answer those problems yes or no, and we will discuss what problems are decidable in case of regular language. Fine. So this will be the topic of discussion of this particular lecture. One, closure properties, and another, decision properties. So let me first discuss about the closure properties, and after completing closure properties, we will see the discussion about the decision problems. So let me rub this and let's start the discussion about the closure properties. So let's discuss about the closure properties of regular language. Okay. So the regular languages are closed under following operations. Following operations. Okay. So that means the following operations that I will be writing, those are the closure properties of regular languages. And what does that mean? That means if these operations are applied on regular language, then the new language that is generated will also be a regular language. And what are those operations? First is complementation. Okay. Second is union. Third is intersection. Fourth is concatenation. Fifth is set difference. Sixth is Kleene closure, or it is also called a star operation. Seventh is string homomorphism. Okay, and there are many other operations. For example, eighth is inverse homomorphism. Another is symmetric difference. Okay, another is substitution, and many other operations. So we won't be discussing all those operations. These are some of the important operations which are the closure properties. So these are the closure properties of regular languages. What does that mean? Closure properties of regular languages. It means, for example, if I have two languages, L1 and L2, and both these languages are regular languages, okay, then if I apply complementation on a regular language, let's say L1 is a language, its complement, L1 is a regular language. If I apply complement on this, I will get a new language, that is L. So this L will also be a regular language. Okay, then only we will say that regular languages are closed under complementation. Likewise, if I have union and I am saying that union is a closure property, that means if I have two regular languages and I do a union, the new language that I will get, that will also be a regular language. Intersection is also a closure property. That means if I do intersection of two regular languages, the new language that I will get will also be a regular language. Okay, and likewise concatenation, set difference, Kleene closure, string homomorphism, inverse homomorphism, symmetric difference, and substitution. These are the closure properties of regular languages. Okay, but we have to discuss these operations, or we can say we have to prove these operations. Prove means we have to prove that these are actually closure properties. What does that mean? I have to prove that if L1 is a regular language, and if I do a complementation of a regular language, then new language is also a regular language. Then only I can say that complementation is a closure property. Likewise, I have to say for the union, for intersection, for concatenation, and all these operations. So we have to prove this. Okay, but here I will only prove some of these operations as closure properties. Others will be your homework, or we can say it will be an assignment to you, and you have to prove for the others as well. I will be proving for some of these here. Let's take the first six. I will prove for the first six. For the next other 7, 8, 9, 10, you have to do on your own. Okay, so let's first prove the complementation is why complementation is a is a closure property, or we can say we have to prove that regular languages are closed under complementation. So let's prove this. So let me rub this and we will prove the first one, then we will prove second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Okay, so let me rub this first. So let's write the first one. The theorem is regular languages are closed under complementation. Or we can say it means that if L is a regular language, then L complement is also a regular language. Okay. So let's prove this particular statement. Okay. So what we have to prove, if L is a regular language, then L dash is also a regular language. We know that if we have to prove this kind of statement, we assume this is true. Okay, so let's assume L is a regular language. Then we have to prove that L dash is also a regular language. So let's see how we can prove that L dash is also a regular language. Assume L is a regular language. So when we are saying that L is a regular language, what does that mean? That means there exists a DFA that recognizes L, because we know that a language is a regular language if there exists a DFA. So let's say here we have a DFA. We have that DFA. Okay. So let's say there are multiple states and there is some final state, or we can say, let's say there are more than one final states. Okay. So let's say this is our DFA. Let's name this M. And the language of this DFA is L. This L. L is a regular language. Now let's do, what is this DFA doing? This DFA accepts, this particular DFA accepts those strings that are in L. What does that mean? It means if W belongs to L, then when we give this W, when W is given as input to M, we will reach to one of the final states. Okay, fine. Now if we have like this, if we have a string W dash and this W dash doesn't belong to L, then when this W dash is given as input to M, when this W dash is given as input to M, we will reach to one of the non-final states. Why? Because our M is not accepting this W dash. Why it is not accepting this W dash? Because it is not in this language. So let's do one thing. Let's change this M and let's make a new automata M dash from this M. And what will be that M dash? That M dash will be M, but we will change the states of M. So what we are going, how will we generate M dash? We will change final states and non-final states of M. What does that mean? We will change these final states. We will make these non-final, and we will make all these non-final as final. So that means M dash will be all the non-final states of M will be final states of M dash. Okay. So like this. And all it is not final states of M, these ones, this, let's suppose Q1 and Q2, these will be non-final states of M dash. Okay, so this particular automata, which automata is this? This automata is M dash. And we have created this automata from M. And how we have created this automata? We have created this automata by changing the final states of M as non-final states and non-final states of M as final states of M dash. So this is our DFA M dash. Let's see what will be the language of this M dash. Okay. So what will be the language? If we have W, so W belongs to L. So W belongs to L. Okay. So if we give this string to this M dash, will this M dash accept this string? No. Why? Because why it won't accept this M dash? Because W when given to M will reach to either Q1 or Q2. But in M dash, Q1 and Q2 are non-final states. So that means M dash will reject W. Okay. Now, if we give W dash, which does not belong to L, as input to M dash, okay, will our M dash accept it? Let's see. If we give W dash to M and W dash does not belong to L, that means W dash will reach to one of the non-final states. If we give this same W dash to M dash, so that means it will reach to one of these final states, because these final states have been created from non-final states of M. So that means M dash will accept these W dash. So this M dash will accept those strings. It will accept those strings which does not belong to L. And it will reject, so it will accept these strings and it will reject those strings which belong to L. Then what will be the language of M dash? The language of M dash will be W such that W does not belong to L, or we can say is equal to W such that W belongs to L dash, L complement. Okay. W does not belong to L. If it does not belongs to L, then it belongs to, it is complement. So that means language of M dash is L complement. If you can see the complement of L. Okay. So that means for the complement language, there exists a DFA M dash. And we know that for any language, if there exists a DFA, that means that particular language is a regular language. So L dash is a regular language. So this proves our this particular statement that L dash is also a regular language. So how we have proven this particular statement? We have proven this particular statement by creating a new DFA such that the language of that particular DFA is L complement. And since L complement is a language of a DFA, that means L dash is also a regular language. So we can say that regular languages are closed under complementation. Okay. So this completes the proof of this particular theorem. So we have proved here that complementation is a closure property. Okay. So this completes the proof of this particular theorem. Now let's prove for the union whether regular languages are closed under union or not, or we can say whether union is a closure property. So let's rub this and let's prove the same for union operation as well. Now we have to prove this particular theorem that regular languages are closed under union. Okay, what does that mean? If L1 and L2 are regular languages, then L1 union L2 is also a regular language. Okay, so let's prove this. Prove this particular statement. How will we prove? So let's assume L1 and L2 are regular language. Okay, let's assume these are regular languages, L1 and L2. And what we have to prove that L1 union L2 is also a regular language. So if L1 and L2 are regular languages, what does that mean? It implies there exists DFA M1 and M2 such that language of M1 is L1 and language of M2 is L2. So that means since L1 and L2 are regular languages, that means there will be DFAs and those DFAs will accept those languages. Then only these are regular languages. So that means we will have two DFAs. This is, let's suppose, DFA 1, this is M1, and this particular DFA accepts which particular language? It accepts L1. And we have another DFA. This is M2. Okay. And the language of this M2 is L2. Fine. Now let's do one thing. Let's create a new DFA from these two DFAs, or let's create an NFA. Okay. So let's say this is M1. This is its initial state. Okay. And this is M2. And this is its initial state. So let's suppose it is Q dash. Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's add a new state here, Q0. And let's make an epsilon transitions here and here. This will be a new initial state. So let's say this complete is our new NFA. Let's say this is NFA M. This is NFA. Let's see what will be the language of this particular NFA. What will be the language of this NFA? So which strings will this NFA accept? Okay. So this particular NFA, if you can see, it will accept all strings, this particular NFA, all strings that are in L1 or L2. So let's take some string. Let's take W. W belongs to L1. Let's say whether this NFA, this particular NFA accepts this W. So W, for example, initially we are in Q0. So W belongs to L1. Okay. Now let's say it has the choice. It will move to this NFA or this NFA. There is an epsilon transition. So let's say it has gone to the above one, M1. Okay. Now in the M1, it will start from this state, Q state, and which string is there? W. And we know M1, when this W is given to M1, we will reach to a final state. Why? Because M1 recognizes this particular language, L1. So that means when this W is given to this NFA, we will reach to the final state. Okay. And if we have another string W dash that belongs to L2, again we will reach to a final state, but that final state will be from this particular side. So for this particular NFA, initial state will be this new state, but the final states will be all those states that are final in M1 and those states that are final in M2. Okay. And this particular NFA will accept all those strings that are in L1 or in L2. So that means the language of this NFA, this particular NFA, language of M, will be W such that W belongs to L1 or W belongs to L2. That means the language of this particular NFA will be L1 union L2. Okay. So here we can say that language of the NFA, this NFA M, is L1 union L2, And we know that language of an NFA is a regular language. We already know that language accepted by an NFA is a regular language. So what does that mean? That means that if L1 and L2 are regular languages, then this is also a regular language. And why it is a regular language? Because if we have DFAs for these two languages, then we can create an NFA that will accept this particular language. And if we have an NFA, that means this particular language is a regular language. So from this, we can conclude that regular languages are closed under union. Or we can say that union is a closure property. Okay. So this completes the proof of this particular theorem that regular languages are closed under union. Now we will prove the same for another operation, and that operation is intersection. So let me rub this and let's prove for the intersection as well. Okay. So now we have to prove the third one, and the third one is that regular languages are closed under intersection. What does that mean? It means that if L1 and L2 are regular languages, then L1 intersection L2 is also a regular language. Okay, so let me prove this. So how can we prove this? We can prove this by the following formula. So let's assume L1 and L2 are regular languages. Okay, so let's assume L1 and L2 are regular languages. Then we can say L1 complement and L2 complement is also a regular language. Okay, why? Because we have proved that if regular languages are closed under complementation, that means if L1 is a regular language, its complement is also a regular language. And we know that L1, so L1 is our regular language and L1 complement is also a regular language, and union of two regular languages. So these are regular languages. What will be their union? Union will be L1 complement union L2 complement. Okay. This is regular language and this is also a regular language. And the union of two regular languages is also a regular language. Okay. So this one is also a regular language. This particular thing. Okay, so it is a regular language. So if this is a regular language, this is a regular language, then its complement is also a regular language. Why? Because the regular languages are closed under complement. So let's write the complement of this. So complement of this particular. What will be the complement of this? This. Okay. So is equal to. So we know this is regular language. So let's see what is this is equal to. So applying De Morgan's rule, it will be L1 complement intersection L2 complement. So we have applied De Morgan's law here, or De Morgan's theorem. Okay. So L1 complement ka complement, what does that mean? That means L1. Intersection L2 complement ka complement, it means L2. So that means L1 intersection L2. So what is L1 intersection L2? So L1 intersection L2 is equal to L1 complement union L2 complement whole complement. And we know that this is a regular language. That means this is also a regular language. So we can say that if L1 and L2 are regular languages, then their intersection is also a regular language. So we can say that intersection is a closure property. Okay, so we have proved this particular thing as well. Now, instead of proving all the other theorems, so let's take all the other theorems as a homework, or we can say the assignment, and you should try to prove that all other operations, for example, what are the other operations? Let me write down those operations. So all the other operations, you have to prove that those operations are also closure properties. So you have to prove the following: regular languages are closed under. First is, you have to prove that those are closed under concatenation. Okay. Second, you have to prove that regular languages are closed under set difference. You have to prove the regular languages are closed under Kleene closure, or we can say the star operation. You have to prove that regular languages are closed under string homomorphism. Okay, fine. So let's keep only these operations, but there are other operations as well, but you are not required to prove for those operations here. And what are the other operations? For example, fifth is inverse homomorphism. Sixth is symmetric operation. So let's leave these two. So don't prove for these two, but prove for following four operations: first, second, third, and fourth. So let me give a definition. What is a concatenation? So set difference, you already know. So let me make clear what is concatenation, what is Kleene closure, and what is string homomorphism. Then your job is to prove that regular languages are closed under these operations. So let's take first concatenation. So concatenation means that if L1 and L2 are regular languages, then their concatenation, L1 concatenation L2, is also a regular language. What does that mean? This concatenation, it means the following. Concatenation means that if L1 is equal to W, such that W belongs to, or we can say if L1, or let me rub this here. Let me make it clear. What is the meaning of concatenation? So L1 concatenation L2 means W dot W dash such that W belongs to L1 and W dash belongs to L2. So what does that mean? If L1 is this A, A, B. Let's say this is L1 and L2 is B, B, B. Then what will be L1 dot L2? L1 dot L2 means I have to first take W. What is W? W belongs to L1. So W can be A, and AB. And I have to take W dash and combine these two. So A can be combined with B. So one string will be AB. Another will be A can be combined with the second one, A, B, B, B. Okay, any other possible? No. Then I can take another string of L1, that is A, B, 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 A, B. So this one, A, B, and B, A, B, B, B. So this will be L1 dot L2. So if somebody is writing BAA, does it belong to L1 dot L2? No. It does not belong to L1 dot L2 because the first part should be L1 and the second part should belong to L2. Okay, but here the first part, this B, so if you can see, or we can take B, this B belongs to L2 and AA belongs to L1. So this particular string basically belongs to this particular language. Okay, it does not belong to L1 dot L2. So this is the definition of concatenation. Okay, so you have to prove for regular languages. Now, what is Kleene closure or star operation? Star operation means that if L is a regular language, then L star is also a regular language. And what is L star? So let me show you what is L star. L star is, let's first take what is L0. Okay, L0 will be all strings, or we can say, so let me rub this, let me make you clear. So let me first make Ln, or we can say L square. L square means concatenating L two times. L cube. L cube means concatenating L and L square. Okay. L4. L4 means concatenating L and L cube. Okay. Likewise, Ln, or we can say Ln plus 1. That means L concatenation with L raised power n. And what will be L0? L0 means L0 means this sigma. Sorry, epsilon. L0 is always epsilon. Okay, so you have to remember. So now what will be L star? L star will be union of all these. L0 union L1 union dash 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 L raised to power n. So that will be L star. Okay. So from this definition, what will be phi star? So if anyone can find out phi star will be equal to this. And also in the concatenation, you have to remember, if we are doing concatenation of pi with L, it will be pi. And concatenation of this is epsilon. Concatenation of epsilon with L will be L. Because, for example, if we have AB, concatenating sigma with, sorry, epsilon with AB will be AB. There won't be any change. So concatenation of epsilon with L will be L. And concatenation of pi with L is pi. And pi star is equal to this epsilon. Okay, fine. So this is about the Kleene closure. So Kleene closure or L star is the union of all these languages, L0, L1, L2, dash, 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 Ln. So this is the concatenation. So here we have defined concatenation, and here we have defined the Kleene closure. Okay, and you have to prove that regular languages are closed under these particular operations. But there is another operation, that is string homomorphism. So what is string homomorphism? So let me write it here. So about string homomorphism, so let me write on a new page. String homomorphism. String homomorphism, we are saying that if L is a regular language, then we will show what is then after that. So first we have to understand what is string homomorphism. String homomorphism means that there exists a function h. So this is a function. Fine. And if L is a regular language on some alphabet set sigma, so let's suppose sigma is 0, 1. And this function h is defined on these symbols 0 and 1, h of 0 and h of 1. Let's suppose h of 0 is AB and h of 1 is B. Okay. So that means this particular function is on this alphabet set AB. So this takes 0, 1 to AB. Then if L is a language and it has these strings 0, 0, 0, 1, 1 0. So let's suppose it has these strings. Then H of L is also a language. And what is that language? H of L, we will use these functions. These functions means let's see, take 0 0. Okay. Now, if we apply this function on 0 0, we will get, so we have to apply on 0. H of 0 is AB. So because of this 0, it will be AB. And because of this 0, it will be AB. So H of 0 0 will be AB, AB. So because of this particular string, in H of L, we will have AB, AB. Now we have 0 1. H of 0 1. H of 0 1 will be, so because of 0, it will be AB, and because of 1, it will be B. So because of 0 1, we will have string A, B, B. Now 1 0. H of 1 0. H of 1 0 will be, because of 1, we will have B, and because of 0, we will have AB. So H of 1 0, 1 0 will be BA. Okay. So this is a function that takes one language on this input to another language on some other input. And this is a string homomorphism operation. And we are saying that if L is a regular language, then H of L is also a regular language. So if this is a regular language, this is also a regular language. And you have to prove that this is true. So this is the string homomorphism function, or we can say string homomorphism operation. And these are the four operations that you have to prove. So what are those four operations? So as I said, you have to prove regular languages are closed under concatenation, under set difference, under Kleene closure, and under string homomorphism. And one more thing that you have to prove, another assignment is that you have to prove all finite languages are regular. So what is a finite language? So you have to prove this. So first you have to understand what is a finite language. A language is a finite if there are finite number of strings. So you have to remember, a finite language is a language with finite number of strings. Okay, and you have to prove that all finite languages are regular. With this, we completed the discussion about the closure properties of regular language, and we also give you some of the classwork, or we can say the assignment that you have to attempt on your own, so that you get the clear idea what are regular languages, what are closure properties. Okay. So with this, I will stop the discussion about the closure properties of regular language. And now we will discuss the second part of this particular lecture, and that is decision problems for regular language. So let me rub this and let's start the discussion about the decision problems. Now we have to discuss about the decision problems. Decision problems for regular language, or we can say decision problems for finite automata. Okay. You can say decision problems for regular language or decision problems for finite automata, because it is one and the same thing. So as I said, the decision problems are those problems for which we can answer yes or no. And in case of regular language, or we can say in case of finite automata, almost all decision problems are decidable. All problems. Why? Sorry, we won't discuss this why here. We will be discussing when we discuss the decidable and undecidable in detail. So decidable means where we can answer and undecidable means where we cannot answer. For here I am saying that decision problems for finite automata are almost all problems are decidable. Decidable means for all the problems I can answer yes or no. So let me give some of the decision problems for finite automata, or we can say for regular languages. Okay, so first is whether regular language is empty. Whether a language is empty. If L is a language, whether it is empty. Second is whether it is non-empty. Non-empty means it contains some strings. So regular language is empty, or we can say whether finite automata accepts no string. No string means it is language is empty. So here regular language is non-empty means whether if we have a finite automata, can we say whether that finite automata accepts at least one string. The third problem we have that if we have a finite automata, whether the language of this finite automata is finite. Okay. And fourth is if we have a finite automata, can we say whether it is language is infinite? Yes or no? Okay. Fifth is if we have a string W, can we say this W belongs to L, where L is a regular language, or whether if we have a finite automata, will that finite automata accepts W? So this is also called, this problem is also called a membership problem. So if we have any finite automata and we have a string W, can we answer whether this W belongs to the finite automata, or we can say whether this finite automata accepts this W? And sixth problem that we are going to discuss is whether two languages L1 and L2 are equal, or we can say whether two automatas M1 and M2 are equal. Okay, two automatas are equal if their language is same. Okay. So these are some of the decision problems that are usually asked for in case of finite automata or regular languages, and all these problems are decidable. Decidable means that we can answer these. Let me discuss the solution for these two, the first and second, and for the remaining four, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you should try out on your own how we can find, how we can prove that language accepted by a finite automata is finite or infinite. Okay, or likewise for fifth and sixth. Let me discuss it here for the first case, how we can show that whether finite automata accepts no string. So how we can do that? So let's take a finite automata. So we have finite automata M. Now after this, in this M, remove all final states that are not reachable from initial state. Okay, so in this M, in this particular M, we are removing all final states that are not reachable from initial states, and after removing these we will get a new automata, that is M dash. If this M dash has at least one final state, if this particular M dash has at least one finite state, what does that mean? It means that there is some final state that is reachable from initial state, from initial state. So that means there will be some string that will take this particular m dash from its initial state to the final state. So that means this particular m will have, will accept at least some string. So that means the language of this automata is not empty. However, if there is, after removing all final states that are not reachable from initial state, that means there is no final state. No final state means that no string will be accepted by this particular M. Then in that case, language of this particular automata is empty. So we can easily answer these two questions, but by, so if we have a finite automata, what should we do? We should remove all those final states which are not reachable from initial state. Not reachable from initial state means that there is no string that will take us from the initial state to the final state, because there is no path from the initial state to the final state. So when we are removing the final states, non-reachable final states, so if there is no final state that remains, that means there is no string accepted by the finite automata. However, if there is some state that is reachable from the initial state, some final state that is reachable from the initial state, then in that case we can say that there is possibility that some string will take from the initial state to that final state, because there exists a path. So in that case, the language accepted by an automata is not empty. Okay, so we can easily answer these two by using this particular algorithm. And what is the algorithm? First, remove all final states that are not reachable from initial state. So remove all those final states where there is no path from the initial state to the final state. And at the end, we will get a new automata. If there is some final state in that new automata, then the language of the original automata, that this M is not empty. However, if there is no final state, that means the language of this M is empty. Okay. Likewise, you have to prove these two. How, what is the algorithm that we can use for these two, and what is the algorithm that we can use for this one and the last one. Okay, for the fifth one, it is very easy. If you have a W, take that W, give that W to the finite automata. If finite automata accepts, that means this string belongs to its language. If the finite automata does not accept, it means it does not belong to the language. So all these decision problems, these can be answered yes or no by using some simple algorithms. So as I have discussed one algorithm here, and you have to find the algorithms for these four problems by yourself. Okay, so these are some of the decision problems for finite automata, or we can say for the regular languages. And as I said, that decision problems are those problems where we can answer those problems in yes or no. And almost all decision problems for finite automata are decidable. Decidable means that we can answer those problems. So with this, we have completed the discussion about the closure properties of regular language and decision problems for regular language. Okay, so up to this point, we have completed the discussion about the deterministic finite automata, non-deterministic finite automata, epsilon non-deterministic finite automata, power set construction, that means how we can convert an NFA to a DFA or epsilon NFA to a DFA. And we have also completed what are regular languages and what are closure properties for regular language and what are decision problems for regular language. In our next lecture, we will be discussing about, first, we will discuss the minimization of a DFA, and second, we are going to discuss Myhill Nerode theorem. So we will discuss these two in our next lecture. So let's meet in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye.